Every NFL season is full of surprises. It's normal at this point to expect the unexpected. That's why in this video, I'm going to give one bold prediction about every NFL team. Something totally unexpected, or in some cases, downright insane that I think are going to happen this year. This video is probably going to make some people mad, but hey, let's ruffle some feathers. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. I spent a ton of time putting this video together, so hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, and let's get started. Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. won't go over 1,000 yards once again. Harrison had huge expectations entering his rookie season, but ended up falling short, finishing with just 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. He looked very good for the most part, but it didn't seem like he was ever able to get on the same page with Kyler Murray. And honestly, I don't think Harrison has a year to leave. I think the Cardinals are going to be a very run-heavy team with Murray, James Conner, and Trey Benson, and I just don't think Harrison will get enough targets to surpass 1,000 yards. Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts will be traded by midseason. Kyle Pitts has been nothing short of disappointing ever since his rookie season. Fantasy football players know this all too well, and I think the Falcons have finally had enough. Pitts is entering the final year of his contract, and I don't think the Falcons have any intention of paying him. I think by the time the trade deadline rolls around, they're going to want to get some sort of draft capital for him, rather than let the former number 4 overall pick leave for nothing. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry combined for 3,000 rushing yards. The Ravens brought in Henry last season, and he immediately made a huge impact, combining with Jackson for 2,836 total rushing yards. Neither one has shown any signs of slowing down, despite the fact that Henry is 31 years old. Jackson was only 85 yards short of 1,000, and Henry was just 79 yards short of 2,000. I think both of them can reach those marks, if not higher, in 2025, and combine for what will likely be the best rushing attack in the NFL. Buffalo Bills, they will win the Super Bowl. I'll refer you to my full season's prediction for more detailed analysis, but basically, I think the Bills finally get over the hump this year. Josh Allen is coming off an MVP season, and the Chiefs are the weakest they've been in a while. I just think that this is the year they finally get it done. Carolina Panthers, Tedero and McMillan will finish top 10 in receiving yards. The Panthers drafted McMillan with the 8th overall pick in 2025, and he was arguably the best receiving prospect this year. He immediately becomes the wide receiver 1 on this team, and there's not much competition. He should get by far the most targets from Bryce Young, who himself is coming off a very good second half of the 2024 season. McMillan has looked awesome in training camp, and I think he has a really strong rookie season, finishing top 10 in receiving yards. Chicago Bears, they finished as a top half offense, but don't have a single 1,000-yard receiver. When I said these were downright insane, I meant it. I truly do believe that the Bears won't have a 1,000-yard receiver, but will finish with a top half offense. The reason? They just have so many receiving targets. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and DeAndre Swift are all players that will see significant work in the passing game, and I think Ben Johnson is going to want to spread the ball out as much as possible, rather than focus on feeding one or two guys. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow throws for over 5,000 yards. We haven't seen a single 5,000-yard passer since Patrick Mahomes in 2022, and Burrow was just 82 yards away in 2024. He threw more than anybody in the league, mostly due to the fact that his defense was horrible and they were always playing from behind. Unfortunately for the Bengals, their defense might be even worse this year than last, and this is going to force Burrow to throw even more. I think Burrow throwing for over 5,000 yards is more likely than people think, especially if this defense is as bad as we all believe it will be. Cleveland Browns, all 4 quarterbacks play this season. The Browns have been in quarterback hell ever since letting Baker Mayfield go, and this year they decided to try to fix their problem by bringing in as many quarterbacks as possible. Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel are all battling for the QB1 spot, but this year I think all 4 of them see some playing time. This team is really bad, and all of them will have their struggles, and I just don't think the Browns are going to be winning too many games. This will cause many quarterback changes, but hopefully at least one of them emerges as a solid starter. Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott finishes top 5 in passing yards. Prescott has always been one of the more hated quarterbacks in the league, mostly due to the logo on his helmet and his inability to perform in the playoffs. And yes, he is coming off a season in which he wasn't all that good, but over the last 5 years, our trend has been forming where Prescott has an injury-riddled season, then comes back and plays really well the next season, then has an injury-riddled season next, and so on and so forth. Prescott is coming off an injury-riddled season, and he now has a new weapon in George Pickens, who alongside CeeDee Lamb forms one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. On top of all that, Prescott is probably going to throw a lot because the Cowboys have by far the worst running back room in the entire NFL, which in turn is going to lead to more passing yards. I know it seems unlikely, but don't be surprised when Prescott is in that top 5 passing yards list by season's end. Denver Broncos, they finished as the best defense in the NFL. The Broncos were already the NFL's best defense in 2024, but they only got better in 2025, bringing in Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Jahdae Barron, and more. Pat Surtain is the best corner in the league, their D-line is really good, and Vance Joseph is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. The Broncos are going to be a nightmare to play because this defense has the ability to shut down any offense. Detroit Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs becomes the true RB1. Ever since Gibbs was drafted in 2023, he and David Montgomery have had a pretty even workload. In 2023, Gibbs had 182 carries while Montgomery had 219, and in 2024, Gibbs had 250 carries while Montgomery had 185, though Montgomery did miss 3 games. The point is, these two have split carries for Gibbs' entire career. However, there is no question who the better running back is. Gibbs has outproduced Montgomery in every way. Gibbs has 5.5 yards per carry over the last 2 seasons compared to Montgomery's 4.4. Gibbs has 31 total touchdowns, Montgomery has 25. Gibbs has 103 missed tackles forced, Montgomery has 87. I could keep going on and on. Plus, in the 3 games Montgomery missed in 2024, Gibbs had arguably his best 3 games, totaling 487 yards and 6 touchdowns. Montgomery is obviously still going to get plenty of carries, but instead of it being a 50-50 split like it has been, I think in 2025, Gibbs is going to get the majority of the workload. Green Bay Packers, both Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden have 1,000-yard seasons. The Packers have had wide receiver struggles ever since Devontae Adams left, but they finally drafted the one in the first round in Matthew Golden. I really like Golden, and he's already been playing phenomenal in training camp. I think having Golden will open up both him and Jaden Daniels to have big seasons, and I think both of them finish with over 1,000 yards. Houston Texans, their defense leads the league in sacks. The Texans finished 4th in sacks in 2024 with 49, but there's reason to believe they can lead the league in sacks this year. For one, they've one of, if not the best edge duo in the league with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Hunter hasn't been showing any signs of slowing down, and I think Will Anderson takes a big year 3 leap. Plus, the coverage on the back end should be much better with the emergence of Derek Stingley Jr. last year, a year 2 Kamari Lassiter, and the addition of CJ Gardner-Johnson. This will force opposing quarterbacks to hold the ball longer, opening up more opportunities for sacks. I really like what the Texans have been doing on defense, and I think this year they'll get to the quarterback more than anyone else. Indianapolis Colts, this is Shane Steichen's last year as the head coach. Look, I like Steichen. I think he's a very good and underrated head coach, but NFL owners are not patient people, and if they don't see success, they're getting you out of there. Steichen has a career record of 17-17, which is honestly impressive considering the quarterbacks he's been dealing with. However, Steichen's biggest failure is that he hasn't been able to develop Anthony Richardson. It's a whole debate whether Richardson's failures are actually Steichen's fault or not, but the point is, the Colts organization sees an offensive head coach fail to develop their supposed franchise quarterback, they're gonna fire him. And I would feel less confident about this if the Colts had an established owner, but they have new people up top after the passing of Jim Irsay, and I think they're gonna want to see success, and if they don't get it, Steichen is going to be the scapegoat. Jacksonville Jaguars, Travis Hunter actually does play both sides of the ball. I'm not sure how bold this take is, but I have seen plenty of people saying that they don't think Hunter can play both ways. Personally, I do, and while he definitely won't be playing as many snaps as he did in college, I think there's no doubt he plays both receiver and corner. He's already worked on both in training camp, so I don't see why he won't when it comes to game time. Kansas City Chiefs, Xavier Worthy leads the 2024 class in receiving yards. Worthy didn't exactly have an amazing rookie season, but he put on one of the best 3-game playoff stretches for a receiver in recent memory, and he's also coming off one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time, with 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those 157 yards being the 5th most in a single Super Bowl ever. He also is the clear-cut wide receiver 1. Rashee Rice is likely going to be suspended for at least 6 games, and Marquise Brown is literally a worse version of Worthy who's also dealing with an injury right now. The only player that's going to be potentially taking targets from Worthy, at least until Rice is able to play, is Travis Kelce, who's on the decline. I'm super high on Worthy, and I think he has a huge year 2 breakout. Las Vegas Raiders, Ashton Jeanty finishes top 5 in rushing yards. Projecting a rookie to finish top 5 in anything is risky, but with Jeanty's talent and the situation he's in, I really believe he finishes top 5 in rushing yards. Jeanty was a generational running back prospect who put up video game numbers at Boise State, and he's going to the Raiders with Pete Carroll as the head coach. If that doesn't scream 350 carries, I don't know what will. Barring injury, I think Jeanty emerges as one of the best running backs in the NFL in just his rookie year. Los Angeles Chargers, Omarion Hampton finishes top 10 in rushing yards. Yep, we're going back to back with the running backs here. Deal with it. Jeanty gets a lot of praise for who he is, and he definitely deserves it. But I don't see enough people talking about just how good Hampton was as a prospect. Hampton would have been the RB1 in probably 80 to 90% of drafts in the 21st century. He just happened to be in the same class as one of the best running back prospects we've ever seen. Hampton is also probably going to get a lot of carries. He's in a Jim Harbaugh-led Chargers offense that is going to want to run the ball. Plus, it seems like something is clearly wrong with Najee Harris. He hasn't been practicing, and who knows if he's even going to play that much this season. And even if he does come back, I think Hampton is way more upset than Harris and will prove to be one of the better running backs in the NFL this year. Los Angeles Rams, Puka Nacua leads the NFL in receiving yards. If Nacua had played all 17 games in 2024, he likely would have been very close to leading or maybe even led the NFL in receiving yards. He had the most yards per route run out of anybody and had the third most yards per game. But now he's in an even better situation than he was last year. Matthew Stafford is still an extremely good quarterback, and with Devontae Adams as the wide receiver too, Puka is almost never going to be double teamed. Stafford has been near top 10 in pass attempts the last 2 seasons. I don't think that's going to change, and I think Puka has a huge year 3. Miami Dolphins, this is Mike McDaniel's last year as the head coach. I'll be honest, I don't think Mike McDaniel is all that good of a head coach. I think he's an incredible offensive mind, one of the smartest in the league, and if he was an offensive coordinator, he'd be top 5 easily. But he's one of those guys that just doesn't work as a head coach. He's got a career record of 28-23, which isn't awful, but he has no playoff wins, and his teams have developed a reputation of being soft, not being able to play in the cold, and most importantly, not being able to win against good teams. McDaniel is just 3-15 against teams with a winning record. He consistently gets outplanned and outcoached by these better teams. If you watch my full season predictions video, you'll know that I have the Dolphins finishing with a less than ideal record, and I think by the end of the season, McDaniel will no longer be the Dolphins head coach. Minnesota Vikings, Jordan Addison finishes top 10 in receiving yards. Addison has been underrated his entire career, being next to Justin Jefferson and everything, but he's one of the best wide receiver 2s in the entire league, and despite the inevitable 3-game suspension he'll be getting, I still think he finishes top 10 in receiving yards. He's been JJ McCarthy's favorite target by far in training camp, and those two have been lighting it up against one of the best defenses in the league. With Jefferson getting all the attention, I think Addison is poised for a big year 3. New England Patriots, Kyle Williams emerges as the wide receiver 1. The Patriots receiving room is definitely one of the worst in the league, but I think Williams has the potential to emerge as Drake May's #1 target. The Patriots drafted him in the 3rd round of this year's draft, and I really liked him coming out of college. His only competition is Demario Douglas, who's not even close to a true #1, and Stephon Diggs, who's declining and coming off a torn ACL. The door is wide open for Williams. He just has to walk through it, and I think he can. New Orleans Saints, not a single skill position player gets over 1,000 yards. Everyone knows that the Saints have the worst roster in the league, or at the very least bottom 3. And while they do have a couple nice playmakers like Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, I don't think any skill position player has a 1,000 yard season. The only 2 people that I think could possibly have one are the aforementioned Kamara and Olave, but I don't think Olave will get one because his quarterback play is likely not going to be very good, and defenses can focus all their attention on him because the Saints don't really have any other good receiving options. Kamara is the one I think most likely to get it, but I don't think the Saints are going to run the ball much because they're going to be consistently trailing, which is going to force them to pass more. Plus, Kamara is now 30 years old. It is depressing, I know, but I don't think any Saints offensive player has a good season, even if some of them are good players. New York Giants, this is Brian Daboll's last year as the head coach. We've got our 3rd predicted head coach firing here, this time featuring Brian Daboll. Like Steichen, I don't think Daboll is a bad head coach, but outside of one magical year in 2022, Daboll has found very little success. He has a career record of just 32-1. Obviously, he hasn't had a ton to work with, but organizations want results, and Daboll hasn't provided those. This could change with a good 2025 season, but I don't think the Giants are going to do well at all, mostly because of their brutal schedule. Unfortunately, I think Daboll and probably GM Joe Shane are out the door after this year. New York Jets, they finish as the worst offense in the NFL. I'll get straight to the point. The Jets offense is not good. Justin Fields is a bottom 5 starting quarterback. They have no receiving options outside of Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall has been declining ever since his rookie season. This O-line is not good, and Tanner Engstrand is an entirely unproven offensive coordinator. I have no faith in this offense, and while there is theoretical upside with Fields, he hasn't shown he is anything more than, like I said, a bottom 5 starting QB. I just think all these factors lead the Jets to having the worst offense in the NFL. Philadelphia Eagles, Saquon Barkley finishes as RB1 once again. Usually the rushing champion changes every season, but I just don't see how Barkley doesn't finish on top once again this season. He's still young, he still has the best O-line in football, Jalen Hurts provides enough of a rushing threat to keep defensive backs honest. Everything is lining up for Barkley to have another huge year, and honestly, I think he does. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin keeps his winning season streak alive. I've seen a ton of predictions that have Tomlin finally not finishing above 500 this year, and I'm sure it will happen at some point, but it's not going to happen this year. Aaron Rodgers, for all his off-field drama, is still a top half quarterback. DK Metcalf is a solid number 1 receiver. I like the combination of Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson in the backfield, and this defense should be a top 5 unit once again. I know everyone wants to crap on the Steelers because they have Rodgers, and I don't blame ya, but I just think they still find a way to finish above 500. San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey finishes as a top 5 running back. McCaffrey is coming off a season where he only played 4 games due to multiple different injuries, but I think he bounces back in a huge way this year. We've seen this before. In 2021, he only played 7 games due to injury, but bounced back and was awesome in 2022 and 2023. With a full offseason to recover, I think McCaffrey gets back to his former selves and finishes as a top 5 back. Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold is going to struggle. I've been pretty vocal about my opinions on the Seahawks signing Darnold, but it basically comes down to this. Darnold is a quarterback that, while he generally does have solid pocket presence, completely breaks down when faced with interior pressure. We saw on full display against the Rams in the wildcard game last year. Unfortunately, the Seahawks arguably have the worst interior line in the league, and that's why I think Darnold won't play well. I've said it in a bunch of videos already, but it's really that simple. Darnold needs a good interior O-line, the Seahawks have an awful one, Darnold fails. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Emeka Egbuka emerges as the wide receiver 2 behind Mike Evans. I was originally critical of the Egbuka pick when the Bucs first made it because I just didn't think receiver was the right position to go. But after some thoughts and seeing how Egbuka has been looking in training camp, I've changed my mind. He has been one of the biggest standouts in the entire league, and the way Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans talk about Egbuka makes me really believe in him. I still really like Chris Godwin, but I think Egbuka has a huge rookie year. Tennessee Titans, Xavier Restrepo finishes as the second best receiver on this team. Okay, I know what you're thinking. How would an undrafted free agent rookie finish as the second best receiver on an NFL team? Well, I have 2 reasons for you. First, Restrepo is far better than your average UDFA. I had a 2nd or 3rd round grade on him, and I know a lot of people were shocked that he went undrafted. He did, mostly due to a 4.83 40-yard dash that he ran while dealing with a hamstring injury, but he is much faster than that on the field. Second, Restrepo was Cam Ward's favorite target at Miami. These 2 were paired back up at Tennessee, and I think their already established connection will help both of them. Restrepo is already turning heads in training camp, and don't be surprised if he ends up as one of the most surprising receivers of the 2025 season. Washington Commanders, JD Daniels will not have a sophomore slump. It's gotten to the point where saying Daniels won't have a sophomore slump can actually be considered a hot take or bold prediction, because there are so many people I've seen that think the Commanders are going to fail, that Daniels is going to suck, all because, well, actually, I don't know why. Maybe it's because Stroud had a sophomore slump, except actually he didn't. His O-line just sucked and all the receivers got injured. I have full confidence in the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, and I think he'll have a great year too, but please pay Terry McLaurin. But that's it. That is one bold prediction for every NFL team heading into the 2025 season. Or do you agree? Or do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya!